So, my name's Paul Sibley. I'm the executive director of Nanaimo Community Hospice Society. We're in the garden at Nanaimo Community Hospice House. We have a children's garden area here right now, and we also have another area that has a nice fountain, and we sometimes get frogs in there, and sometimes we get raccoons. That's not always a good thing, but yes, we have a beautiful garden here. So I'm often asked this question, and when I am, especially if in front of a group of people, I generally ask for a show of hands of everybody who has never had somebody they love die, and never hand goes up. And my point in asking that question is to make the point that we will all have people we love die in our lives, and we will die one day too. And when we die, people who love us will grieve our loss. That's who we serve. Everyone in this community, doesn't matter what the age is, that's who we serve. Well, we offer a range of programs to people. One of our busiest, and oftentimes we have a waiting list for those programs, are individual counseling programs. We have an amazing team of clinical counselors who meet with people across the whole age span. So we have a very well developed children's program with an amazing play therapy room, and all the way through to people like me who are seniors and everybody in between. So we generally support people who are maybe anticipating their own death, and so we have lots of folks who know that they're going to die. We also have people who are grieving the loss of those people that are anticipating their death, and so they're anticipating that happening. And then, of course, when people die, there's a whole host of people around them who are grieving their death. But death happens in a lot of ways too, and we don't always know, and we don't always know the way. One of the things that we've experienced over the last while is certainly an uptake in issues, death related to mental health challenges that people are coping with, uh, such as death by suicide. We certainly have dealt with death related to the opioid crisis that we have. So there's lots of death related to trauma. So there's a whole range of things, and we don't have any standalone beds. However, we have 80 volunteers who support the palliative care unit, and we're there every day, 365 days of the year, 12 hours a day with two volunteers on at all times. So we're very involved in that. Well, I mentioned earlier that we offer one-to-one counseling. We also offer groups, and those groups take a variety of form. We also have some other groups related to sensory support. So we have a program called Scented Space. We use essential oils with a certified aromatherapist, and so that has a great impact on people. We do things like Reiki. So we have trained Reiki therapists, and we do that on site in our building. Well, I want people to know that death is an essential part of life. We're there for everyone in our community. I talked about that earlier, about the relevance of us. Sometimes people, uh, wonder what relevance we have in their lives, but we all have people that we know who have died, who we love, and so our relevance is for everyone. Another thing that people wonder about, the name hospice is confusing for folks. Sometimes wonder, is there a religious affiliation? The whole idea of hospice is centuries old, and it continues to this day with hospices all over the world that are there for people during those times when death is near, and the folks that are grieving the loss of someone they love. So, well, that's a good question. We wondered what would happen through this crisis with their services, because people are used to coming in and meeting face to face with people, and we knew that we would have to change that. And initially, we had some drop off. People weren't sure if they wanted to maintain that connection with us over the phone. In cases where people were comfortable enough to use the video, we were prepared to do that. And what we found is that people are continuing to die, and they're even feeling more isolated in this time. So we had an initial drop off of referrals to our program, but that's picked right back up. And over the last few weeks, we're getting the same numbers of phone calls that we got if we were fully open. We've also reestablished some of our groups. And so we do those online using things like Zoom or Skype and that sort of thing. So we've got a couple groups running with 5 or 6 people in them, and those are growing, and we're getting more phone calls. And then our home visiting program, while we don't go out and visit people in their homes, these are people who are palliative generally, and their caregivers. We do that over the phone and make the phone calls and connect in that way. Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking with some colleagues about this the other day. We're uh, we're in the grief business, and the whole world's grieving right now. They're grieving the loss of not necessarily someone who's died in their life, but that may well be the case, and for many people it will be. But also just the loss of connection. It's a and I've seen it in my own family. I have a grandson who I used to have over every weekend, and now I don't get to hug him, and I don't get to do that. And so we all have those experiences, and they run the full range. So pay attention to those things. If we can help in any way, give us a call. Well, we don't need volunteers today. We have 250 volunteers who we continue to connect with. We call them. We have our volunteer sort of group, that coffee house, online coffee house that we invite volunteers to. So we're continuing to do that. We're always in receipt of donations. This is partly an answer to a question you asked earlier. People think that we're supported by the health authority. We're supported in a very small way, to the tune of about 1% of our overall budget. The rest of our budget generally comes from fundraising that we do, fundraising activity. And of course, during this time, a lot of the fundraising activity we normally do, we can't do it. So yeah, we're always ready and open, and do need donations to continue our service.